Let's talk about something none of us ever want to face: a flood in your own home. Whether it's a burst pipe or a storm, the chaos can feel just completely overwhelming. But here's the thing: underneath all that chaos, there's actually a science to saving your home. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the world of water damage restoration and see how science can stop a disaster dead in its tracks. So let's start with a question you've probably never even thought to ask yourself, at least not until it's way too late. What is the actual cost of a leak you can't even see? And trust me, the answer is a whole lot scarier than just a little puddle on the floor. Get ready for this because the answer is pretty staggering. A single, unseen leak, maybe from a pipe under your home's foundation, what the pros call a slab leak, can silently waste thousands of gallons of water. It's literally undermining your house from the ground up, and you might not even know it's happening. And this gets to the absolute heart of the matter when it comes to water damage. The clock is always your enemy. You have to understand, every single hour that water sits, the damage spreads. It wicks up into your walls, it soaks your insulation, and it creates the perfect, damp, dark breeding ground for mold. Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial point. The puddle you can see, that's not the real enemy. The real danger is all the water you can't see, the moisture that's secretly creeping through the hidden spaces inside your walls and floors. So how in the world do you spot an invisible enemy? Well, your house actually tries to tell you. It gives you clues. Maybe you catch a whiff of a musty smell that just won't go away, or you see paint starting to peel and bubble for no good reason. Have you looked at your baseboards lately? Do they seem a little swollen? Or are your beautiful wood floors starting to look warped? These aren't just your house getting old, they're alarm bells. So where is all this water coming from anyway? Let's dive into the usual suspects, the most common weak spots inside pretty much any home. It's almost never just one single thing. It's usually this perfect storm of issues happening at once. You might have old cast iron pipes that are basically corroding from the inside out, combined with soil that shifts and puts stress on your foundation. And then bam, one severe thunderstorm hits and your gutters are instantly overwhelmed. It's a recipe for disaster. All right, let's talk specifics. A really common one: your air conditioner. It's constantly pulling gallons of moisture out of the air. But if that little train line gets clogged with gunk, and it happens all the time, that water has to go somewhere. And somewhere is very often your attic, just sitting there, creating a huge hidden mess right over your head. Oh, and this one is a classic: the humble washing machine hose. Most of these are just plain old rubber, and after about 5 years, they can get brittle and just burst. And when they go, they really go. We're talking a torrent of water at full pressure. If your laundry room is upstairs, you could be looking at a catastrophic ceiling collapse down below. And finally, you've got the sneakiest culprit of them all: the slab leak. This happens when the copper pipes running under the concrete slab of your house start to corrode. They get these tiny pinhole leaks and water just sprays into the ground, slowly wicking up through the concrete. You might not notice a single thing for months until your entire floor is completely ruined. Okay, so that's the bad news. The problem is big, it's sneaky, and it is definitely urgent. But what do we do about it? Well, this is where you stop panicking and the science kicks in. Let's walk through the professional restoration playbook. For the pros, there's one rule that overrides everything else: water does not wait, and neither do we. Seriously, the speed of the response is everything. Waiting just a few hours can be the difference between a straightforward drying job and a massive, expensive mold remediation project. And, when the pros show up, it's not just chaos with a bunch of fans. It's a very clear 3-step process. First up is extraction. Get all the standing water out, and get it out fast. Phase 2 is structural drying, using specialized gear to dry out the actual structure of the house. And finally, Phase 3 is reconstruction, rebuilding anything that was too damaged to save. Now let's zoom in on that second step, because this is where the really cool science comes into play. Structural drying is so much more than just pointing some fans at a wet wall. It's about creating a very specific, controlled environment. They bring in these massive industrial dehumidifiers and high-velocity air movers to literally pull moisture out of materials like wood and drywall. It's an active, scientific process. Now, here is something you probably didn't know. Not all water damage is created equal. To a professional, a clean water leak from a supply line is a completely different universe from a raw sewage backup. They use a very specific classification system that dictates the entire game plan and ultimately the cost. Right, and this isn't just them making it up as they go. The entire industry follows a detailed, science-based protocol called the IICRC S500 standard. You can think of it as the official rulebook. It's the guide that tells them exactly how to handle every possible situation to make sure a home is safely and properly dried. So at the heart of that rulebook are these 3 categories of water. Category 1 is clean water, pretty self-explanatory, like from a broken supply line. Category 2 is gray water, which is a bit contaminated, maybe from a dishwasher discharge. But the one you really don't want is Category 3, or black water. This is the bad stuff. Sewage, storm flooding, it's grossly contaminated and a serious health hazard. Okay, one more crucial distinction you need to know, the difference between mitigation and restoration. Think of it like this. Mitigation is the emergency room. It happens in the first 20, 40, 48 hours, and the goal is just to stop the bleeding, get the water out, and prevent more damage. Restoration, that's the full recovery. That comes after. It's the process of repairing, replacing, and actually rebuilding to make your home whole again. All right, so we've covered the threats, the science, and the entire professional process. Now, let's just boil it all down. What are the key things you absolutely have to remember if you ever find yourself in the middle of this mess? If you only remember one number from this whole explainer, let it be this one, 3 to 5. That's it. With the right professional team and the right science-backed approach, most water-damaged homes can be completely and safely dried in just 3 to 5 days. It really is an incredibly effective process when it's done right. And that really brings us full circle to the most critical point of all. You see, the line between a small, manageable problem and a full-blown, financially devastating catastrophe, well, that line is razor thin. And that line is defined by one single factor, speed. How fast you notice the signs, how fast you make the call for help, and how fast that science can be put to work in your home. So the only real question left is, are you prepared to act?